The interesting thing about attractions is it supersedes our senses. It doesn't dismiss our senses, of course. Our senses allows us to be able to somewhat interpret and bring a definition within ourselves, allows us to be able to register that there's something that's existing. But there's something very powerful when attraction is present. This is why you can't police it. We can't predict it because a lot of times we might be moved by certain heightened uh, projections or frequencies that come off each other that matches us, that moves us. And so that's all pointing to a high level of attraction. So what happens in relationships a lot of times, another part that brings up conflict is that we're trying to define everything. Think about it. As soon as we try to define something, we actually are giving it a means of an end. As soon as I'm trying to define, some of us have very good, we got a good vibe, good flow with each other, but then we begin to disrupt it because we want to define it. And the more we define it, the more we find ourselves, we start pushing each other away. Why? Because you're trying to make somebody, or we're trying to make each other conform inside a definition where beforehand there was just an easy flow, and that flow should just continue to be focused on by growing it, by not trying to put the definition on it. Okay? But that bothers a lot of people because some of us need to understand it. But the definition is already happening. You don't have to name it. It's already happening in what? Inside the experience. It's already happening in what y'all are to each other, how you treat each other, how you feel around each other. Let that be the definition. Let that take you on the journey, right? So think about it. What we can't define is really hard. It's really hard to set an end to it, right? What we can't find, we can't lose. What am I saying? A lot of us desire to have long, enduring relationships. I often tell clients, I often tell people when I speak and stuff like that, we just gotten too smart for relationships. It's a lot of our problems. But when we don't have nothing to find, there's nothing to lose. So if we just allow the attraction from our hearts begin to drive us, and we begin to just yield to the attraction and then build the exchanges around that attraction, and allowing that natural curiosity that comes from that to just lead us and guide us by trusting the energy that's being created by us coming together, which we call synergy. We're just going to trust that synergy, and we're not going to try to put a bunch of labels on it. We're going to let the synergy begin to just lead us to where we go. And there's a lot of uncovering that begins to happen because you're no longer focused on trying to define it or trying to put it in so your mind can put a marker on it. You're now in your heart, and it's more experiential. All right? And so what happens is now you put the mind in this proper place, right? So that the mind, or quote unquote, I'm talking about the ego, you're checking it. So you're allowing the energy, which is higher and beyond the ego, to begin to lead and guide. And so now we're beginning to appreciate, and then we're increasing our chances and our ability to lessen the ego insertion to disrupt the flow or the interplay that we have with each other. So it's almost beneficial to kind of have this unknown about us in order to stimulate the relationship that we have. And that applies to all dynamics of relationships.